Buying a house can be a really exciting time, but there's definitely spots that can go really wrong in the process. Today, we're going to be talking about some of the scarier parts of buying a home, like the current scams that are happening right now in real estate. There's a moment in every real estate transaction where your money is the most vulnerable. So we're going to talk about what that is and how to prevent it. Hi, everyone. My name is Tabitha, or Tabi Klein, the ILM Realtor, helping you find your home between the river and the sea. Today, we are talking to Jason Cline of Cline Donaldson Law. We are going to be talking about everything that we should be thinking about before sending money, before signing our documents. So help me introduce Jason. I am so excited about this podcast because this is a 3-part series, making sure that our house investment, everything is being protected. And so you are going to talk to us today a little bit about the front end of those transactions. But before we get too deep, I was reading over your intake form, and I need to know how an attorney is a yoga instructor and is in the National Guard. So I'm going to just need you to elaborate on that.
Yeah. So, it was just a period of time where I felt like I needed growth in my life. And so you can appreciate this. It was before I had kids, where most of that stuff happened. So
when we had all the time.
Yeah, when we had all the time in the world. So before, I have 3 kids now, but before we had kids, did a 200 registered yoga teacher program, did the Baptiste program. I used to do yoga all the time. I still love it. I wish I could do it more. Getting to a class on time, on a scheduled time, is very difficult. So I don't get to do it as much. But I did that, it was 10 years ago, 11 years ago now. And so I used to teach. And then between law school and joining the Army National Guard.
You're not busy.
Yeah. And so,
excuses.
But then I had the 3 kids on, but yeah. So, and then the National Guard was, I came from a family of people who served. And so my dad was a Vietnam guy, an older brother who has been, OIF, OEF generation, uncles and aunts and everybody who served tours in different theaters. And so it felt natural for me to do it. I joined a little later in life. I was in my late 20s when I joined, but still doing the thing. I'm an infantry officer in the North Carolina National Guard. So currently in command of a brigade headquarters company.
Awesome. Yeah, we were trying to do some scheduling and you weren't even in town. They were like, sorry, he's busy right now.
I was in Germany, for a 10-day trip with the Army in February when we first started talking about this. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's busy times, always busy. And then running a law firm, having kids. My wife is running for judge right now in town. I know it's too many things. We think about it all the time.
I feel like I should hurry up and get this podcast over with because I'm wasting your time. All right. So we are going to jump into it. What is the number one scary thing? Like, I think wire fraud. I think, where's my money going? I'm losing stuff. So tell me what's actually happening out there right now.
You hit the nail on the head. So wires are scary every time. And we get this question a lot. Why do I have to wire my funds for closing? Common question. It's called irrevocable creditability. So a certified check.
Word.
Yeah. So a certified check still takes 2 days to clear. Wire, once it hits an account, can't be recalled. So like you can send an ACH payment, which is not a wire, and you can recall that for like up to 14 days or something like that. So wires are irrevocably credited to our trust account.
Cannot get it back.
That's right. You could, if it was sent to the wrong place, you and your bank can initiate an investigation with their bank and work these things out and claw those things back. But typically the law requires us to have irrevocably credited funds for us to close. So we start with, I hate wires too, right? We all hate having to do that, but it is based on what we have to do for good funds in our trust account to close. We can't use someone else's money to close someone else's house, essentially. So wires, absolutely scary. And the big fear is, what if the wire instructions were intercepted, or somebody beat our office to the punch and got them wire instructions and they send funds in?
That, because I get a ton of emails, I get text messages that are like, hey, this is what you need to be doing. Update your password here. And it all looks legitimate, but that's where the scam piece comes in. I'm nervous enough about just fat fingering the number as I'm entering in, where am I sending this money to? But what is the scam side of it that you're seeing? Is it the email interception? Is it?
Yeah. So what typically happens is they will either have hacked into their emails, like the client's emails, or at some point, what a common one is they'll randomly email our office to just ask for, hey, do you guys handle, there was one a couple of years ago where six of us attorneys all got this email. We're trying to purchase some tractors. Do you guys handle tractor purchases or whatever? And they're really, what they want is they want to see what our emails look like. They want to see our email signatures. They want to see that stuff. And then they'll go, so our emails are ClineDonaldson.com. They'll go start an email that's C and then the number 1 instead of an L. to spoof basically our email
So
system.
it really does look like it's coming from you guys.
Yeah.
It's absolutely legitimate.
That's right. It'll look absolutely legitimate. And they're getting more and more sophisticated with how they do these things.
Yep.
And if they're in your emails, they'll have watched some of the traffic and they'll maybe even reference something, that was talked about previously. It can be very scary. It's why we don't, as a matter of course of business stuff, email our wire instructions to people. It's not how we get our stuff out, but I'm sure you guys have the same. We put it in our engagement letter. We put it in our email signature. It's in your email signature, all these places.
Call before you wire.
That's right. And so we use a vendor. It's kind of industry standard practice now, or it should be, that sends our instructions securely to you or to your client with a 5-touch verification. It's going to have a text message, an email. They're going to have to answer some questions. It's going to check their location. So like if you're outside the United States,
this was a big one.
Yeah. And so it's a 5 just to get our instructions. A lot of people don't love it. I get it. But like, I don't know what else to do.
But do you like your money?
But, and then if, as long as you follow that process, your wire is insured up to $1 million. So, which we love, right? Like that's the, and if people all the time tell me that they don't like doing it, it's not as easy. I got to answer this text message and this email thing. And I get it. But I promise you, if you lost $500,000 and I told you that you could have it back if you would have just answered the text message, you'd have done the text message.
Not even like $1,000, dude. Like at this point, any money that we are working hard for that we are losing, and it could have been a text message, a verification point. Yeah. It kind of turns into laziness, and I'm not here.
And even that, we also tell people, like, wear us out if you need. Google us, find our phone number independently, and then call us. And then even you got our instructions through our vendor, still call, still verify. Maybe you want to go to the bank, print out our instructions, and have the bank call us. That's fine too. Don't use our email signature phone numbers. Use an independent source. If there was phone books anymore, you could use that, but like there isn't anymore. But yeah, I mean,
we're saving the trees.
We do as much as we possibly can to communicate to people that like you will get. And so like our engagement letter gives you the last four of our account, so that hopefully everything jives when it's time to send your money. But it's a scary. I mean, we had a cash closing this morning. Somebody called me at 7 this morning because they thought their wire was supposed to hit yesterday. We didn't get it until 6:30 this morning. It was a $640,000 wire. I'd be checking on that too.
Does your gut like ever just drop when you get those phone calls? Because I feel like I just had a physical body reaction to that, and I wasn't the one getting the phone call.
It's a little bit, it's like working at a bank. You almost like, you get a little bit, I don't know, less sensitive to it. But what I say that, but also we receive and send roughly probably between 30 and 50 wires a day. Every day. And so, but there is still that like little bit of tightness every time. Like, and so to the where we regularly train and retrain, but like if we send a wire, we run people. So not just for buyers sending us money, but if we're going to send money out, we use that same program to collect their instructions. Same thing. It's insured that direction. And then to your point too, fat fingering the number in the wrong.
Yes, that is my biggest fear.
But that's why what's nice is our vendor sends us a PDF of the instructions. We just copy and paste. Like no more like, oh my gosh, did we type it in wrong? We're just going to copy, paste, do the old ocular pat down of those wire instructions, double check it. But it's still scary every time. That's the big scary one on the front end. And then I would say the other scary scam that we haven't even gotten into is seller impersonation fraud, which.
Yes. And this is terrifying. Yeah. I was getting the final stuff together for a contract the other day, and the seller's agent was like, hey, they are out of town clients. They're in California. And then she's like, well, technically they're in Europe. And then I was like, Jason told me about this. Yeah. Jason told me I should be nervous about this. So I went to my broker in charge and I was like, hey, I, beyond a shadow of a doubt, want to make sure that we are good to go. Yeah. And that's all that you need to do in some of these situations. But you're going to dig into that in just a second, because I want to be vulnerable and honest because I'm on a podcast. So back in early 2000s, it would have been like 2008. I was with a guy and we were buying a house together, and we had just gotten in like a car accident, had a bunch of money sitting in our account from the insurance claim. And he was typing on his email, open an email, and it was like, hey, will you help us start this small business? Will you cash these checks for us? Nigerian scam.
Money mule.
He lost $10,000
Oh my
of our
gosh.
early 20s money. And it was literally what was going towards our down payment of our house. And I remember feeling so much shame, feeling so stupid. And I mean, it was his fault.
Sure.
And we're not together anymore. I hate him. But we called the police, and the police were like, I've got a stack of these sitting on my desk. There's nothing we can do.
Yeah, it is a very difficult thing. And what commonly happens, and so like if you want to know how these scams take place too, is there's typically a domestic money mule. I found out recently, I was talking to a guy who was former FBI. He's now a federal prosecutor here in town. But he said, what happens is they'll create fake online dating profiles and find lonely older people and sort of catfish them and then say, hey, by the way, I have a job for you. All you have to do is their money will go into this account, and then you just have to then move it to another account for us, and we'll give you a little money out of it too. And so that's how they conceal and basically they'll launder the money. But unfortunately, law enforcement is just not set up, and we don't have jurisdiction over Nigerian princes or whatever, whoever these people are. So it becomes a really difficult thing, and time becomes extremely critical, because if we can't catch it within probably 72 hours, the money is likely gone forever.
It's gone. And it was washed cashier's checks is what it was. And so they were legitimate cashier's checks.
Yeah.
They had all of the things, but they were washing them and then reprinting them for different dollars amounts. So they were taking out like $2 checks, $3 checks.
And then turning them into $2,000 checks.
100%.
So to make your folks feel comfortable, listeners, we have a system called Positive Pay, which checks our trust account checks every day. So my settlement software talks to my bank every day, and every check that gets cut, I get my email at like 4:00, and it sends copies of checks, check numbers, amounts, and payees up to my bank. And then if a check is attempted to be cashed that doesn't match all of those things to the penny, to the name, to the check number, I get an email, and every morning we have like a little quick conversation, me and my attorneys. Is there any positive pay exceptions? Because if they're not cleared by 3 p.m., my bank won't honor those. Imagine a situation where had that been in place for these certified checks, they would have been dishonored, and then maybe you wouldn't have been in that situation. And so,
well, we've caught up. It's been 20 years.
Yeah.
We've caught up a bit.
But I still have, I have a $150,000 fake certified check in my office. It was a scam from a couple years ago. We had a good laugh about it. It was like an offshore investor from China. And what they do is they want to go under contract with a certified check. That's bad. It gets deposited, and then they terminate, and they want their earnest money returned to them in the form of a wire. We wire out the 150, and then that check was dishonored within 2 days, and now I'm out. So we ended up calling the issuing bank, and they're like, that is not a real check from us. And so like we had a good laugh about it. Like everything felt bad. So what law enforcement does, we call, and then they say, take it as far as you can, get their wire instructions, get all these things, because the Secret Service can freeze those accounts. So which is kind of a fun, like if you ever get in a situation, and they'll freeze that account and then any connected accounts. And so you might be able to like protect people you don't even know if we can freeze those accounts of these scammers.
I feel like we should get our tea out.
I'm telling you, we see it, and we had, not to get ahead, but we had $1 million wire, like seller fraud impersonation that we stopped, thankfully.
So you were telling me this story, and that was one of the main reasons that I was like, we have to do a podcast about this. This stuck with me. I went home and I told my husband and my best friends. So this was a different type of scam. It's separate from the wire.
Right.
So dig into what happened.
So local builder that I work with regularly goes under contract. Licensed agent was representing him, and the listing was represented by a licensed agent out of Myrtle Beach. But that happens from time to time. We're in the area. And the sellers are not local. They live up in like central North Carolina. They inherited the property from their mom. There was some little things along the way, but like ultimately, everything felt pretty good. Contract was executed. They were represented by a licensed attorney here in town too. And so it was
giant red flag.
Little tiny stuff along the way, like, hey, it's these two brothers. I think one of them might be married. We should get the wife on the contract too. And the other side was like, totally fine. Wife signs the contract, whatever. But day of closing, something doesn't feel good. We get the deed package back, and the social security numbers are sequential. I'm like, okay, which for new citizens, it could be a thing. But like, this is two brothers and his wife. And like, I would get it if the brothers did, maybe,
yeah, like
whatever.
Your mom
forgot to do it, and she did it at the same time.
Yes.
But the wife, I'm like, I don't know about that one. But then they wanted all the proceeds for both brothers to go to one account. So I'm like, okay, this is starting to feel a little off. So I start looking through the documents, and they were signed in Texas, which is, I'm like, okay, whatever, this is fine. But why are two brothers and like his wife in Texas? So I start pulling up the map. They're with a Tarrant County notary. So if you know your Texas map, that's Dallas.
Okay.
But they signed in San Antonio.
Texas is humongous.
That's a 7-8 hour drive. So I'm like, okay, so we have two brothers from Central North Carolina
With sequential Social
with
Security
sequential Social Security numbers in San Antonio with the Dallas notary. I'm like, this can't be.
in a North Carolina address.
That's right. So then I call UPS, and thankfully whoever was on the other end, I'm like, hey, can you tell me where this label was picked up? Like, where did this UPS label originate? And they're like, it was dropped in Augusta, Georgia. And I'm like, so now I'm to believe that these two brothers left San Antonio and got to Augusta same day and dropped the overnight. So I'm like, there's just no way.
Final red flag.
And of course,
what a brilliant idea to call UPS.
a lot of pressure from the seller side too. Like, hey, I'm getting pressure from my sellers to close. They want this done. They want the wire. It was $1 million sale. And I just I called the builder and explained. He's like, don't do it. Don't close it. And I had the money in my trust account, $1 million. I was ready to go. We were ready to close, and we didn't do it. And then of course, nobody ever heard from that seller. Yeah, just gone. And they were probably think about it, they almost had $1 million. And what do they target? So what was this, right? It was raw land. They always target vacant lots. They love it if they're tax delinquent because it means someone's probably asleep at the wheel. Because ultimately, owner-occupied homes are not likely to be the target of fraud.
Letters, there's
people show up for inspections. You're like, get out of my house. You know what I mean? So those are all normal things that would help you. But on this, you could go visit a vacant land. And like, this is also to your point about people who live in California. We live in a beach area, right?
Yep.
People have their second homes here, or they buy lots with this dream of one day moving to Wilmington. Yep. So it's common that people from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania will have bought a lot here. They held it for a couple of years. Health deteriorates, and now they can't build their dream house, so they need to sell the lot. And you'll never meet those sellers.
Never meet them. So my grandmother owns a lot and a house in Burgaw.
Yeah.
She's owned it for 70 years, and I'm going to be putting those things on the market soon, but it's exactly that.
Yeah.
If something happened with that lot, she wouldn't know.
Yeah. And so that's a thing. And what happens in these instances, right? If I would have closed that, the seller who actually owned that property now has a cloud on his title, right? And then my buyer, who is what we call a bona fide purchaser for value, has some rights as a result of having paid value for, and there was some legislative packages last year that attempted to kind of start to talk about chipping away at fixing this. I didn't think the package was the right package for what we need to fix this stuff, but I mean, now and then there's $1 million that's just gone, right? So thankfully what they like to target is a little lot, like $50,000 here, 35, where like as an agent, right, it's not the biggest commission, so
we're not going to give it a ton of time.
That's right. Well, you just can't in the midst of all the things that have to happen. But it's also too, like, somebody reaches out and says, hey, I live in Virginia. My wife and I are traveling, but we're going to be selling our lot that we've owned. And I think what's probably happening is they're probably buying information on the dark web, like information about these people. And then I don't know, but somebody has to have knowledge, at least a little bit of real estate understanding to be able to accomplish these things, because they're pulling deeds, they're finding these things. And so one of the things that we typically do, so that program we use for wire fraud and they do what's called seller identity verification for us. So as a standard course of business practice for us, if it's a raw piece of land or investment property, we run the sellers through seller identity verification, where they have to do, like, you ever done the thing where you put your face and it like scans against your ID?
Like when you do your phone.
Like just like setting up that. So it forces them to upload a current ID to the picture and then scan their face, and those things have to. We had a client a seller out of California. He was selling his condo in Breezewood. It was an investment property. He had never even been to the condo, and he failed. And I'm like, we're at a pause right now. I need something. And he's like, I can't believe this. And I'm like, the fact that you're reacting the way you are suggests even more. I said, you would like, and so long story short, I ended up getting on like Zoom with the guy, his wife, and then the realtor happened to know them. So it was like a whole thing, but like, he was really annoyed, but I'm like, if you weren't you would be so thankful that I'm doing
so
these
thankful.
But it's just the reality of like, and it sucks that this is where we're at in real estate transactions, that we have to do all of this stuff just to sell or close on a piece of property for someone.
Well, I feel like scams, it's a multi-billion-dollar, trillion-dollar business with these people stealing money. So if they're going to keep making money from it, they're going to keep doing it. They're going to get more sophisticated, and we just have to be on the up and up. And so we need to know this kind of information to stay on top of
It's
it.
the AI stuff too, the deep fake stuff that's coming.
Deep
I was joking. We're at a CLE. We have to do our annual, just like you guys have to do your education
Yep.
hours every year. And one of the title companies was presenting on how to prevent seller fraud. And I was kind of joking, like at some point you're going to make us like submit a blood sample of people just to get title insurance, you know?
Fingerprints, guys.
And it's tough. It is a tough practice out there, and we're having to be vigilant just like you guys are, right? And the best advice I always give people too, like agents, when you're taking a listing, run your people through like Forewarn or whatever apps you guys would use. Get as much information. And like one of the things that we do, we sometimes will just mail a letter to the tax notice address and say, hey, are you listing your property right now? If not, can you call us? And I had a realtor call me and she said, here's the facts. They won't do this and this. I said, don't take that listing. Don't take that listing.
And you had told me about some websites as well, and I will list this in the show notes, where if for any reason your property gets listed or hits a certain system, you'll get notified.
Yeah. So almost, I think every county now, registers of deeds office. Yeah. So if you own property in New Hanover, Brunswick County, you can go to the Brunswick County Register of Deeds, put your email and name in, and if there's a hit in the registry, it'll email you. Now, that is, of course,
you have to check your email.
Yeah, that's a post. Something has happened already, unfortunately. But I tell people all the time, like the title lock services that you see on Fox News, like don't do that. That's essentially what they're offering you is title notification system. There's no system where you can file or have something that notifies you before a deed is registered. So like anybody could technically go down to the registry and file a fraudulent deed. Sort of, it's not that simple, but there's nothing stopping. So it's only a notification system. So it's not bulletproof, but I would want to know if that happened to me,
100%.
big time. And so it's not perfect. I'll say, so like my in-laws have a rental property in Wilmington, and their first rental property they ever owned was on a town in a town in Michigan, and it was on Easy Street. So they have Easy Street LLC. So they have a notification system for their rental house, but there's like Easy Street funding. So they'll get notifications for those things too. So like I say,
and again, that would like make my stomach drop every time I saw it.
And every time my father-in-law is going to screenshot that thing and can you look and see if this is us? And I'm like, we're good to go on those, But and what they like to target, the reason they like to target raw land is it's not mortgaged. If there's a mortgage on property, it's typically, it needs a social security number to order the payoff. And like, there's some things in place. And so some people have talked about just putting mortgages on property just to do it, so that there's some protection. And I've come up with some ideas of like, we might start offering that to people of like, hey, you're buying your house cash. We should put a deed of trust in favor of yourselves kind of thing, or, just to take that one extra step to protect. It's a scary world out there right now.
It's so scary and I hate it.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I think working with realtors who are vigilant about these things, who are looking out for these things, and asking, your closing attorney, what steps are you guys taking to prevent wire fraud? And I think we're pretty much all on certified now, or some version of that program, because, I don't know how your checking account's set up, but like if we have money that goes missing from my trust account, I have to write a personal check to cover it until I can get it back. So like one bad wire, the law firm's gone. That $600,000 wire, my checking account's not set up to cover that.
So what I'm hearing is these law firms that are holding on to this money, they are just as invested in protecting your money.
We want it so bad, right? Like we don't, because if let's say that I wire money to the wrong place, or what the scary thing, like what can sometimes happen is some small amount of money that's brought to closing or whatever. Let's say somebody wired their money and then there's a last minute lender change. So now they got to bring $600 to closing and they write you a personal check. We have had people's personal checks bounce. And so what happens is the moment we figure that out, I have to write from my personal checking account a check to my trust account until I can go recover those funds. So like it is in addition to our duty as, members of the bar and our duty to our clients and things like that, it's also just like I don't want to be writing checks for clients. And we have
I'm sure your wife would be quite irritated about
that. And we have 4 offices that do real estate closings, probably 120, 130 closings a month, right? So it's a
lot of transactions.
It's a lot of clients, which means to close 130 a month, we probably have 200 going at a time. If I had to write a $10 check on each one of those, that's $1,000 a month, right? Like that. So we are very vigilant. We care a lot about it. And really we want clients to have a good experience, that they should feel some comfort and peace that, things are going well. And so like the client who it was just, they sent their money out of a money market account, but they were like, oh my gosh, it should have been there already. And it came in like 6:30 this morning, and it's probably some, their investment account took an extra little day to get it out.
Yeah.
But
And I've seen different checking accounts just do their own verification. Like,
Yeah.
hey, I need to make sure that you actually pushed go on this.
Yeah.
And that can be obnoxious, but again, it's all for the sake of protection.
Most bankers now, like they'll sit down to, so what we tell people is just print out those instructions, go to your bank. Most of the time you sit in a little chair like this, and then the personal banker will come get you and do your wire with you. And so what I tell people is hopefully the banker asks these questions of how did you get these instructions? Were they emailed to you or like whatever? And hopefully, they say, we received these through a verified wire vendor, and it's insured up to $1 million.
That makes everybody feel better.
Yeah, which is what they tell us, the vendor, and they've got success stories, but where basically what they'll do is they'll go after and recover the money and things like that, but they will cut people check same day basically.
Same day.
So like you'll get your money right then.
So the transaction can continue, can
Yeah.
move forward.
Right. And so because that's the fear is that like you wire money to the wrong place and then now you can't buy the house, and
Deal falls through,
Yeah.
earnest money's gone, due diligence money's gone.
I had a situation a couple of years ago where an attorney, unfortunately, I think had his paralegal was, I think, skimming, and something happened where he self-reported to the bar, and the bar basically froze his trust account. And we had a situation where they were trying to get their money back out of the trust account to close, and it was stuck in that trust account, and it was $80,000, right? Like most people don't, I wouldn't be able to redo another 80K wire or whatever. And because I think for most of us to buy a new house, we'd have to sell the old one, and we're going to use proceeds from the old one to buy the new one. And I don't have multiple houses to sell, it's a scary thing. Knowing who you're working with and trusting who you're working with matters immensely, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to do a segment that I love called No Dumb Questions.
Yep.
I feel like people sometimes get scared to ask these questions, so I like to ask them for them.
Yeah.
If I'm sending money with a wire, do I trust the email wire instructions, or is there something else I should be doing?
Yeah. I mean, call every time, right? Like wear us out. Maybe you're not local. Have your real estate agent go down to our office, pick up our wire instructions. We'll print them for you. And then she can text them to you. Like do whatever you have to do to get these things, to get you to comfortable. And that's where, if you're local, for sure. Like I tell everybody, you can always stop by and pick up a paper copy of our instructions. We're happy to give it to you. We have 4 offices, like Charlotte, we have Hampstead, we have 2 in Wilmington. Like come by any one of our offices and ask for our wire instructions. We'll give them to you in paper. I would love it if you did that, because it costs me money to send these instructions verified through this vendor, so like, but it
actually saves you money.
But it saves money. That's what and we have some older folks who are not very good. They have like flip phones, right?
Yes.
Can't do this on a flip phone because I need location verification. So, Hey, why don't you just come on by? We'll give you a printed copy, which they like. We're real people.
It feels very authentic.
That's right. And we're local, real people. It's not some, big national weird title company that you don't know who you're talking to.
Exactly. So if somebody isn't using you guys and they do have that weird yucky feeling, what do you think is like the number one step that they should take? Because I know that sometimes like that fight or flight kicks in and you panic and you're not really thinking through the right next step.
Don't wire that money until you feel so good. I mean,
so good about
if you're getting the ick from the closing attorney's office or something. So typically how it works, the real estate agent will select the closing attorney. Most people don't know a closing attorney. I would say there's a reason you chose your real estate agent. That's typically your first. You guys are really the quarterback and you guys set the pace. Start with there and just say, hey, I'm not feeling great about this. And hopefully you have a relationship with your closing attorney and you can say, hey, think that, can we do a quick little 3-way call? Something, like we don't want you to feel like no closing. And I know most of the closing attorneys in town, we don't want your clients to feel bad either. We want them to feel comfortable. Enough. Yeah. There's already too much going. And some people some people do better with this stress than others. Like there's a bridezilla, there's like a closingzilla too, so not everybody is set up to handle the stress, to your point. So yeah, I mean, do whatever you need to get comfortable. To to a limit, we can't spend all day talking about it.
We can't hold hands while we're signing
we can make sure you feel good and you're getting good instructions from us.
Perfect. Can the money ever be recovered? Something does go horribly wrong.
Yeah, speed's the name of the game. It's the most important thing. So if what I tell people, feel free. If you send your wire and within let's say you go to the bank at 10 and by 4 o'clock in the afternoon we don't have your wire yet, feel free, call us. And sometimes your sending bank. So everybody always asks the question, how do I wire? Your sending bank has different rules. Wells Fargo, for example, I think lets clients wire up to $25,000 from their phone. Anything above that, you got to go to a branch. State employees credit union, for example, takes like 2 approvals above the banker who puts it in. So sometimes state employees during the pandemic, it was like 2 days to get a wire out. So knowing what your bank's process is, matters, but then follow up. And if we don't have your wire yet, double confirm and then call your bank and say, hey, just want to confirm if this went out yet. We get an email within 15 seconds of the receipt of an in or out wire. So like the moment we get a wire, there's an email and it hits pretty much everybody in our firm. We can all see all the wires. So that way, if a Hampstead office isn't doing a closing, they can see the wires and all that kind of stuff.
Does that get sent to the client as well? Is like a, hey, we got it?
It can. So we don't typically, just because that wire confirmation, it comes to us through our secure portal from our bank and it's got their account information. So we don't typically email it back and forth with everybody. But what we tell people is absolutely, we typically print it and give it to them at closing. Like, this was the confirmation of your wire that we received. But we do, if they want to call and confirm that it was received, or email the closer that you've been emailing with and ask if it's been received yet. Whatever your process is that you're most comfortable with, I think that's the simple one.
Jason, this was unbelievably good.
Yeah.
I feel like I learned things. Yeah. And our very first meeting, I was blown away. So I really, really, really hope that everybody else takes away just as much. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with us. I truly, truly appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me. It was a fantastic time.
If you're buying or selling a home in North Carolina, my job isn't only to help you through that process, it's also to protect you through that process. So if you are looking for support and need someone in your corner, please reach out. Until then, thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you around our perfect little city.